TIFU by driving 3 hours for a cheeseburger. This was actually last weekend, but I started heading south for a 3-hour drive from southern Orlando area towards South Florida. Literally no turns for about 200 miles using the turnpike. There's only a few exits between the two major cities. I stopped halfway to get gas and ate a Wendy's cheeseburger at a rest area. I even sat down at the stop just to eat and get my eyes off the road for a bit. Once I finished, I got back on the highway, put on an obviously interesting podcast, and just drove for about another hour and a half until I arrived at the exact same exit that I just got off at from home. I had just drove 3 hours for a Wendy's cheeseburger. I was screaming, cursing, and really bashing myself for just achieving this level of stupidity. No one else seemed to think it was anything but hilarious. Looking back at it now, it really is hilarious. Just not when it happens to you. TLDR, I drove 1.5 hours south, stopped for a cheeseburger, then drove 1.5 hours north. It sounds to me like you went on a 3-hour drive to clear your head and stopped for a burger. Maybe it was something you didn't realize you needed. Did you get back in the car and continue back south after? Or just give up and stay home? That's exactly the sort of thing I would do, NGL. Not all who wander are lost. And like others said, maybe you just needed to go for a drive and a burger. There have been worse adventures. If it's the Wendy's that's in between the turnpike, honestly I don't know how you mess that up, LMAO. Unless if you just weren't thinking, since you thought after you got gas you were close to the exit to go south again. Back before GPS phone apps were quite as reliable, 2013-ish, I was attempting to drive to my grandparents' but didn't put in the zip code, just the street address. It ended up taking me like 40 minutes in the opposite direction in the middle of nowhere. I was suspicious, but they live by a lake outside the small town in the area, so driving through random country backroads wasn't necessarily unexpected when combined with my starting point. I put in the full address with zip code and poof, took me to approximately the right place. I'm wondering why you started the trip in the first place. I need to know what this podcast was. Must have been great. I did something similar but not as long. I was driving home to Columbus, on I-71 from a project in Cincinnati. Did the same thing. Stopped to get a bite at an unfamiliar exit. Got back on I-71. In the wrong direction. Grin grin grin. Man, if there was a Wendy's 90 minutes from me, I would gladly make a 3-hour round trip for that. I'm kind of jealous. I live in a mountain town not close to much. I once drove 2 hours to buy something only to realize I forgot my wallet. Drove back home. Got my wallet. Drove back to the store. Drove back home. The second drive was in a snowstorm. Good times. I drove 1/2 hour north and realized my cat got out at the last rest stop. Drove 1/2 hour south, found the cat lounging under a light post, and drove 1/2 hour north again. It happens. No hamburger either. I don't get it. Were you not supposed to go home? If it makes you feel better, you are not alone. I am from Houston, Texas, and recently moved to Dallas, Texas. My boyfriend lives here and we did long distance for a while. One of the first times I drove up to visit him. When I left to drive home, I crossed the Oklahoma border. It was only about an hour further, but still. That's 2 hours of driving to get back where I started and have to drive another 4 hours home. This Wendy's? Wendy's +1 8632165741 https://maps.app.goo.gl/zitpaytesltmrxg7.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.